Words are important. What we choose for our wording can help us have greater clarity, greater emphasis, and meets our audience where they are. Let's talk about them today on our tips. So I just kind of want to sort of talk about some things with you. You kind of wonder, are we actually going to talk about anything? When we add ambiguity to our language, we sound unsure, unconfident, unauthoritative. Let's talk about some of the most common ones I hear. We're just going to do this. You're just coming in for that. Just is a valid word, but it can also be a devaluing word. When you're just coming in, it helps us to unvalue what we're actually going to be doing next. There are times when the word just fits, but more often than not, you can replace it or drop it. We're just going to do a check. I would rather you say, instead of a retainer check, an observation check, to say, we are going to be doing an evaluation. I know a lot of times we have checks written into our procedures, so what we see, we say. It would be wise to go ahead and change that to evaluation, because a check feels like something you can do from afar. I can check on that from over here, whereas an evaluation feels closer. So there's a difference on evaluate. Let's talk about squeezing. I don't know about you, but I don't like squeezing into clothes, squeezing into spaces. I have a little bit of claustrophobia. And when we say we're gonna squeeze you in, that doesn't feel like we're gonna get the highest value for what we intend. Now, if you are trying to be helpful and you are helping them get into an appointment that may not be actually slotted for that type of procedure, you can work them in. That is a higher value word than squeezing people in. And then we have an appointment around 2:00. Well, is it 2:00 or is it 2:00-ish? Kind of, sort of, around, near. Actually say what you mean instead of putting those filler ambiguity words around it. Those are things that I want you to use to make sure that you mean what you say and say what you mean. Now let's go to another set of word choice words. And those are words that are either outdated, offensive, misconstrued. One of the biggest ones that I hear, and I realize this word used to work, it no longer does. When we say we have complimentary consultations. Now, for one thing, it is a mouthful when you're on the phone and for the person to hear. But the vernacular of people these days, our vocabulary is going down. And when you consider the person who is usually making that new patient call, and when we're talking about complimentary consultations, they are usually distracted, kids in the backseat of the car, they're going through the drive-through line, they're doing this in a hurry. Most people, when I hear both sides of the conversation and you say it's a complimentary consultation, you get this stunted sound or gap of interaction and they go, so how much is it going to cost? It's complimentary. So how much money do I need to bring? It doesn't do any good if we confuse our audience. We don't need to play stump the chump with them and make them feel like they're less than smart. So say it is a no-cost exam or a no-cost consultation. But no-cost exam is my preference. And that comes from listening to 15,000 calls a year and hearing how people react. This is especially true if English is a second language. How can we expect them to understand that? So change complimentary on the phone to no cost. In your written language, complimentary works. A lot of times people hear complimentary on the phone and they think compliment. when it's actually a no-cost exam. Let's talk about another one. Let's keep going. For a while, as we were trying to get everybody in for an exam, a lot of times we were talking spouses, we said we want to make sure that the other decision maker is there. Oh, I can tell you from listening to phone calls, and I was on that bandwagon for a while, that when you say decision maker, a lot of times a male will go, I'm the decision maker, and you've made them bristle. It was the unintended consequence. Here's the thing. Wrap your arms around it, because these days our family organizations and our support organizations are not the traditional of what they were decades ago. So I want you to say it's a great time for all involved to come and get their questions answered. That way, it doesn't matter if it's a mom, a dad, a grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, caregiver, whoever's involved in this is welcome to attend. That way, you're not unintentionally offending somebody. And then for the final thing, as you're referring about each other, make sure you refer to each other by your titles. You've earned them. Clinical assistants, scheduling coordinators, our doctor. Don't refer to each other, and I'm generalizing because of most of our offices, as the girls up front, the girls in the back. Many of our clinical assistants and our scheduling coordinators are actually younger than those that are the responsible parties that we are working with. And if you say that's the girls and the girls and the girls, one, it's not the most polite way of referring to each other, but there is science when we want to make sure that we draw upon their authority. We want to make sure that people feel that they can put their trust in them, and it's not simply, young ones we picked up off the street who are in their summer job. So refer to each other by your titles. All these things help give the right impression to your patients or new patients. Do not provide offense, and provide the authority of what you're saying or what those in the roles are saying. Take these away and see how well they work for you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.